Have you ever met someone in their 70s who seems younger, sharper, and more energetic than people 20 years younger than them? At first glance, it might look like genetics. Maybe they simply won the DNA lottery. But according to one of the world's leading aging researchers, Dr. Steve Horvath, that's only part of the story. Dr. Horvath is famous for developing what scientists call the Epigenetic Clock, a tool that measures your biological age rather than the number of birthdays you've celebrated. In other words, it helps answer a fascinating question: how old is your body really? And here's where things get interesting. Research on epigenetic aging shows that two people born on the exact same day can age at dramatically different rates. One person's cells may be aging faster, while another person's cells remain biologically younger. These differences are strongly influenced by lifestyle, environment, nutrition, sleep, stress, and physical activity. In other words, many of the factors that influence aging are actually within your control. So if aging isn't simply a matter of time, what separates people who seem to age slowly from those who experience declining energy, weight gain, chronic inflammation, and disease much earlier? That's exactly what we're exploring today. We're going to break down 7 habits commonly found among people who age more slowly according to modern longevity science and the work surrounding biological aging research. These aren't trendy biohacks or expensive anti-aging treatments. They're practical behaviors that influence the fundamental processes inside your body, things like inflammation, insulin sensitivity, mitochondrial function, muscle preservation, stress regulation, and cellular repair. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every day, your cells receive signals. Some signals tell your body to repair, regenerate, and function efficiently. Other signals tell your body to store fat, increase inflammation, and accelerate aging. The habits you'll learn today help tip the balance toward repair rather than deterioration. And by the end of this video, you'll understand not only what slow agers do differently, but why these habits work at the cellular level. If you're serious about maintaining your energy, protecting your brain, preserving your metabolism, and extending your healthy years of life, stay with me. Because the science of aging is revealing something incredibly empowering. The rate at which you age may be far more flexible than most people realize. If there is one habit that longevity researchers have become increasingly obsessed with over the past decade, it's preserving muscle. Many people think muscle is only important for athletes or bodybuilders. But modern science tells a very different story. Muscle is actually one of the most powerful anti-aging organs in the human body. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your metabolism is a rechargeable battery. Every year after the age of about 30, that battery naturally wants to lose some of its capacity. If you do nothing, muscle mass gradually declines, a process known as sarcopenia. As muscle shrinks, your metabolic battery becomes smaller and less efficient. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your muscles act like giant glucose storage tanks. After a meal, healthy muscle tissue absorbs glucose from the bloodstream, helping keep insulin levels under control. Muscle also releases signaling molecules called myokines that communicate with the brain, immune system, liver, and other tissues. In other words, muscle isn't just moving your body, it's constantly sending health-promoting signals throughout your entire system. What the research shows is that low muscle mass is associated with higher risks of frailty, falls, insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and early mortality. Meanwhile, greater strength and muscle quality consistently predict healthier aging and longer lifespan. This is one reason many longevity experts now focus less on body weight and more on body composition. A person can be relatively thin yet metabolically unhealthy if they've lost significant muscle. Conversely, someone carrying more muscle often maintains better glucose control, higher energy levels, and greater resilience as they age. One of the biggest mistakes people make is prioritizing weight loss at the expense of muscle. Crash diets, excessive calorie restriction, and inadequate protein intake can reduce the number on the scale while simultaneously accelerating muscle loss. That's not healthy aging. That's trading short-term weight loss for long-term metabolic decline. So, what do slow agers do differently? First, they consistently perform resistance training. This doesn't necessarily mean spending hours in a gym. 2 to 4 weekly sessions using bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, machines, or free weights can produce tremendous benefits. Second, they prioritize protein throughout the day. Most experts recommend aiming for roughly 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily for healthy aging, with higher amounts often beneficial for active adults and older individuals. Third, they challenge their muscles regularly. Muscle responds to demand. If you never ask it to work, your body assumes it no longer needs it. Think of strength training as sending a message to your biology. Keep this tissue. It's important. And your body listens. One fascinating finding from aging research is that muscle strength often predicts future health better than many traditional markers people focus on. In practical terms, maintaining strength may be one of the closest things we have to an insurance policy against age-related decline. So if you're looking for a habit that improves insulin sensitivity, supports hormone balance, protects the brain, preserves independence, and promotes longevity simultaneously, building and maintaining muscle belongs near the top of the list. And here's the encouraging part: it's never too late to start. Whether you're 35, 55, or 75, your muscles remain remarkably responsive to training. The body has an incredible ability to adapt when given the right stimulus. That's one of the most hopeful messages in all of longevity science. Aging may be inevitable, but accelerated decline often isn't. Now, here's a habit that surprises many people. People who age slowly don't just exercise, they move. At first, those two things may sound identical, but from a physiological perspective, they're very different. You can complete a 45-minute workout in the morning and still spend the remaining 15 hours of your waking day sitting. Unfortunately, your body doesn't interpret that as being highly active. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body is like a river. Movement keeps the water flowing, oxygen circulating, nutrients being delivered, and waste products being carried away. Sitting for long periods is like placing obstacles in that river. The flow slows down, and over time, problems begin to accumulate. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your cells are designed to expect regular movement. When muscles contract, they help regulate blood sugar, improve circulation, stimulate lymphatic drainage, enhance mitochondrial function, and trigger the release of beneficial signaling molecules. But when you remain sedentary for hours at a time, many of these processes begin to slow down. Blood sugar regulation becomes less efficient, blood flow decreases, calorie expenditure drops, fat-burning enzymes become less active, even the muscles responsible for posture and stability begin to weaken. Research consistently shows that prolonged sitting is associated with increased risks of cardiovascular disease, metabolic dysfunction, frailty, and premature mortality, even among people who exercise regularly. In other words, one workout cannot completely offset an otherwise sedentary lifestyle. This is why many longevity experts focus on something called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. NEAT includes all the movement you do outside of formal exercise: walking through the grocery store, taking the stairs, gardening, cleaning, standing while working, playing with children, walking while talking on the phone. These small activities may seem insignificant individually, but together they create a powerful metabolic advantage. What the research shows is that frequent low-intensity movement throughout the day helps maintain insulin sensitivity, supports cardiovascular health, improves energy production, and may contribute to healthier aging trajectories. The people who age slowly often make movement a normal part of daily life rather than something confined to a gym session. So what does this look like practically? Start by avoiding long periods of uninterrupted sitting. A simple strategy is to stand up and move for 2 to 5 minutes every 30 to 60 minutes. Take walking meetings whenever possible. Park farther away from entrances. Use stairs instead of elevators. Walk after meals. In fact, one of the most powerful habits for metabolic health is a 10 to 15-minute walk after eating. This simple practice helps muscles absorb glucose, reducing the demand for insulin and improving blood sugar control. Think about it this way. Exercise is like making a large deposit into your health account. Daily movement is like earning interest all day long. You need both. And if this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. Every day, we explore practical strategies backed by science to help you improve your metabolism, increase energy, and extend your healthy years of life naturally. Because when it comes to longevity, it's often the small habits repeated thousands of times that create the biggest results. The goal isn't to become an athlete. The goal is to become a person whose body receives consistent signals that it's meant to stay active, capable, and resilient for decades to come. One of the fastest ways to accelerate aging is also one of the most socially accepted: sleeping too little. Many people wear sleep deprivation like a badge of honor. They sacrifice sleep to work longer, scroll later, answer more emails, or squeeze more tasks into the day. But your biology doesn't see it that way. Your body treats chronic sleep loss as a stress signal, and over time, that signal can influence nearly every system involved in aging. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you own a city. During the day, the city is busy, traffic moves, businesses operate, energy is consumed, and waste accumulates. At night, maintenance crews come out, roads are repaired, garbage is removed, electrical systems are serviced, damage is fixed. Now imagine canceling those maintenance crews night after night. Eventually, the city begins to deteriorate. That's essentially what happens inside your body when sleep becomes chronically inadequate. Here's what's really going on inside your body. During deep sleep, some of the most important repair processes in human physiology become active. Growth hormone is released, helping support tissue repair and muscle maintenance. The brain activates a specialized waste clearance system known as the glymphatic system, which helps remove metabolic byproducts that accumulate throughout the day. Immune function is optimized. Memory consolidation occurs. Hormones that regulate hunger, satiety, blood sugar, and stress are recalibrated. Sleep is not passive, sleep is active biological maintenance. What the research shows is that poor sleep is associated with increased inflammation, insulin resistance, obesity, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and accelerated biological aging. Even a few nights of restricted sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity and increase cravings for calorie-dense foods. This helps explain why people often struggle with weight gain despite believing they're eating reasonably well. The issue isn't just food, it's that sleep deprivation alters the hormonal environment controlling appetite and metabolism. When sleep suffers, cortisol often rises. Hunger signals increase. Satiety signals decrease. Blood sugar control worsens. The body begins operating in a more survival-oriented state. Slow agers understand this. They don't view sleep as wasted time. They view sleep as one of the highest return investments they can make in their health. So what can you do? First, aim for consistency. Your brain loves predictable rhythms. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time each day helps regulate your circadian clock. Second, expose yourself to natural morning sunlight whenever possible. This helps anchor healthy sleep-wake cycles and supports nighttime melatonin production. Third, reduce bright artificial light exposure during the final 1 to 2 hours before bed. Think of light as information. Your brain uses it to determine whether it's time to be alert or time to recover. Fourth, avoid large meals, excessive alcohol, and heavy stimulation close to bedtime. And fifth, create a sleep environment that is dark, cool, and quiet. Remember, longevity isn't just about preventing disease, it's about maximizing repair. And every night you sleep well, your body enters one of the most powerful anti-aging states available to human biology. People who age slowly understand a simple truth. You cannot out-supplement, out-exercise, or out-hustle chronic sleep deprivation. The body eventually collects that debt. But when you consistently give your body the recovery it needs, you create the conditions for better energy, improved metabolic health, sharper cognition, and healthier aging for years to come. If sleep is the body's primary repair system, stress is one of the biggest forces that can interfere with that repair. Now, to be clear, stress itself is not the enemy. In fact, your body is designed to handle stress. Exercise is a stress. Cold exposure is a stress. Learning a new skill is a stress. The problem isn't short-term stress. The problem is chronic stress. It's the type of stress that never seems to turn off. The endless notifications, the financial worries, the relationship conflicts, the constant feeling that you're behind, overwhelmed, or under pressure. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When your brain perceives a threat, it activates a sophisticated survival system called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, often referred to as the HPA axis. This system signals the release of stress hormones, including cortisol. In the short term, cortisol is incredibly useful. It raises blood sugar so you have quick energy. It increases alertness. It helps mobilize resources to deal with immediate challenges. Thousands of years ago, this response helped humans survive predators and environmental dangers. But your biology was never designed for cortisol to remain elevated all day, every day. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine cortisol is like a fire alarm. When there's a real emergency, you want that alarm to activate immediately. But if the alarm stays on continuously for months or years, it becomes destructive. The constant noise creates chaos throughout the building. That's what chronic stress does inside the body. Research has linked persistent stress with increased inflammation, insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, impaired immune function, cognitive decline, and accelerated biological aging. Some studies have even found associations between chronic psychological stress and changes in biological aging markers. In practical terms, stress doesn't just affect how you feel, it affects how you age. One area where this becomes especially visible is abdominal fat. Chronically elevated cortisol can encourage fat storage around the midsection while simultaneously making it harder to maintain muscle mass. This creates a metabolic environment that promotes further inflammation and insulin resistance. It's a vicious cycle. The people who age slowly understand something important. Managing stress is not a luxury. It's a biological necessity. So what do they do differently? First, they build recovery into their daily lives, not occasionally, daily. This might include walking outdoors, prayer, meditation, deep breathing exercises, journaling, or simply spending time away from screens and stimulation. Second, they prioritize relationships. Strong social connections consistently appear in longevity research as one of the most protective factors for long-term health. Humans are biologically wired for connection. Isolation often amplifies stress signals. Third, they create boundaries. Many people expose themselves to a constant stream of information, notifications, news, and digital stimulation. Your nervous system needs periods of calm just as much as your muscles need recovery after exercise. One simple strategy is to schedule at least 10 minutes each day where your only goal is to downshift your nervous system. No phone, no multitasking, no productivity, just recovery. Research shows that practices such as mindfulness meditation, controlled breathing, and stress management techniques can help reduce cortisol levels and improve markers associated with healthy aging. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. Every day, we break down the science of metabolism, hormones, and longevity into practical strategies you can actually use. Because one of the biggest myths in health is that aging happens only because of time. In reality, aging is influenced by the signals your body receives every day. And one of the most powerful signals of all is whether your body feels safe enough to repair, recover, and thrive. The goal isn't to eliminate stress. That's impossible. The goal is to become better at recovering from it. And that skill may be one of the most important longevity habits you ever develop. One of the biggest misconceptions about longevity is that there must be a perfect anti-aging diet. People often ask, should I eat keto, Mediterranean, low carb, plant-based, high protein? But when researchers study populations that consistently maintain health into old age, they discover something interesting. The specifics vary. The principles remain remarkably consistent. People who age slowly tend to eat in ways that reduce chronic inflammation, support metabolic health, and provide the nutrients their cells need to function properly. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every meal sends biological instructions. Food is not simply calories. Food is information. The nutrients you consume influence hormones, inflammation, energy production, immune function, and even the activity of genes involved in aging. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body is a construction site. Every day, workers need building materials to repair damage, maintain structures, and replace worn-out components. If high-quality materials arrive consistently, repairs happen efficiently. If poor quality materials arrive, or materials are missing altogether, the quality of maintenance begins to decline. That's exactly what happens at the cellular level. Your cells require amino acids, essential fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to perform countless repair functions. When those nutrients are lacking, the body's ability to maintain itself gradually suffers. What the research shows is that diets rich in minimally processed foods are consistently associated with healthier aging, lower inflammation, better metabolic function, and reduced risk of chronic disease. Meanwhile, diets dominated by ultra-processed foods are associated with increased inflammation, obesity, insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, and accelerated biological decline. One reason is that ultra-processed foods are often engineered to deliver large amounts of refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats, and calories while providing relatively little nutritional value. They create energy abundance without nutritional abundance, and the body notices the difference. So what do slow agers typically prioritize? First, adequate protein. Protein provides the amino acids needed to preserve muscle, support immune function, and repair tissues. Second, vegetables and fruits. These foods supply fiber, antioxidants, phytonutrients, vitamins, and minerals that help combat oxidative stress and support healthy cellular function. Third, healthy fats. Foods such as fatty fish, olive oil, nuts, seeds, and avocados provide essential fatty acids that support the brain, cardiovascular system, and healthy inflammatory balance. Fourth, stable blood sugar. Rather than constantly flooding the bloodstream with glucose, they build meals that combine protein, fiber, and healthy fats to create a more gradual metabolic response. And many also incorporate periods where they are not eating. This brings us to an important concept in longevity science: cellular repair. When food is constantly entering the system, the body remains focused on processing and storing energy. But during periods between meals, different biological pathways begin to activate. Scientists often discuss pathways such as AMPK, autophagy, and cellular recycling processes that help maintain cellular quality control. Think of autophagy as your body's cleanup crew. Damaged components are identified, broken down, and recycled. While fasting is not magic, strategic periods without food may help support some of the maintenance systems that contribute to healthy aging. For many people, a simple overnight fasting window of 12 to 14 hours is a practical place to start. Finish dinner earlier, delay breakfast slightly, allow the body some time to shift from feeding toward repair. And if this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. Every day, we translate complex health science into practical strategies you can apply immediately. Because longevity isn't built from one superfood or one perfect diet. It's built from thousands of meals that consistently send your body the message that it has the resources it needs to repair, adapt, and thrive. The goal isn't dietary perfection. The goal is creating an internal environment where healthy aging becomes the natural outcome. As we wrap up, let's come back to the most important idea in this entire discussion. Aging is not simply the passage of time, it's the cumulative result of biological signals that your body receives every day. This is one of the most important insights to emerge from the work of researchers like Dr. Steve Horvath and the growing field of biological aging science. Two people can be the same chronological age, yet have very different biological ages. And while genetics certainly play a role, lifestyle choices help determine which direction that biological clock moves. Today, we explored 7 habits that consistently appear among people who age more slowly. They protect their metabolic health and maintain insulin sensitivity. They preserve muscle through strength training and adequate protein. They move throughout the day instead of remaining sedentary. They prioritize sleep as a critical repair process. They actively manage stress and avoid chronic cortisol overload. They eat in ways that reduce inflammation and support cellular maintenance. And they cultivate meaningful relationships and purpose, recognizing that healthy aging is both biological and psychological. Notice that none of these habits are extreme. None require expensive equipment. None depend on secret supplements or complicated biohacks. Instead, they work because they influence the core systems that drive aging itself: insulin, inflammation, mitochondrial function, muscle preservation, hormonal balance, cellular repair, nervous system regulation. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every day, your cells are listening. They are constantly receiving information from your food, your sleep, your movement, your environment, and your stress levels. Those signals either encourage resilience and repair, or they encourage decline. The encouraging news is that many of those signals are within your control. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. In fact, that's usually the wrong approach. Instead, choose one habit. Just one. Maybe it's adding a daily walk after meals. Maybe it's improving your sleep schedule. Maybe it's strength training twice a week. Maybe it's reducing ultra-processed foods. Start there. Then pay attention. Track your energy. Track your focus. Track your recovery. Track how your body responds. Because lasting health is built through consistency, not perfection. And the small actions you repeat every day ultimately become the biology you experience years from now. If this video added value, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Join our community of people who are committed to improving their metabolism, protecting their health, and extending their healthy years of life naturally. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.